Hello and welcome to BeamNG Drive. I'm davidinark, and today we're taking a look at a mod called the R20, and it definitely has some looks of a familiar two-seater sports car or two. It's not a Miata though. Not, don't call it a Miata. That's something along those lines is what the creator of the mod said in the description. To me, I mean, it definitely has some Miata to it. To me, it also kind of has the what was that Mercury? There was a Mercury that was very similar to this. Then of course there's there's a BMW. There's all kinds of different models of cars that are this kind of two-seater, short, small, little Sportster thing. What's cool about this car? Front engine, but rear-wheel drive. So that's very cool. Got some muscle behind what's going on. So definitely a fun little car to drive. It is a little unwieldy, though. I will tell you, it has a tendency to get away from you. But what's really, really cool about this mod is the console display here. This is really cool. So if you can see, there's a purple line at the top of the middle section above the N. And I can use keys on the keyboard, and I can move over to the left and to the right, and then I can choose something else that I want that section to be. So for example, if I wanted it to be a timer, boom, I can pick a timer. If I want it to be navigation, I can make it navigation. I can zoom in, I can zoom out. I like the fact that the navigation is actually showing a map, and it's not just, kind of a track or whatever. In the middle, where I've got the compass, in addition to that, you can also choose the different kind of configurations of the different cars. So you got sport, you got econ. I don't know. It's very cool that you can change that. And then you can also, over on the left-hand side, again, right now it's the G-force meter, but you can change that to whatever other options there are. So you can customize the layout of the dash panel, the instrument panel, whatever you want to call it. Very, very cool stuff, man. That is just, I don't know, the stuff that you guys come up with, and I know I say this a lot, but seriously, the stuff that you guys come up with in the modding community is absolutely amazing, absolutely unbelievable. I happen to have a 2017 Dodge Charger, and one of my favorite things about it is that I can customize the instrument panel. Now I can also customize some of the other things that it that has. For example, I can kind of like this vehicle, where you can sort of customize the feel of the vehicle, the sportiness. I can do the same thing. I can adjust the power steering. There's some other things you can pick and you can choose. Just, I don't know. It's 2020 now, but even a couple of years ago, we are in the age of customization, right? Personalization. In a weird sort of way, as somebody who grew up in the 80s, we've kind of returned to this all about me, but in a different way. In the 80s, all about me was all about, spending all the money you could on credit and, just kind of treating yourself to whatever you wanted to treat yourself. Now, the all about me is more about the customization type things, right? I mean, you can order tennis shoes that have customized graphics on them. You can order cars that are customized, exactly the way you want. And now you can even take mass-produced vehicles and customize them, add a little personalization. You can put things kind of where you want to in the instrument panel. I don't know. Very, very cool stuff. So here's where a controversy comes in. This vehicle here, the Race Pro, is actually a paid portion of this mod. So the mod itself comes with several vehicles that you can pick from, but there are a couple of vehicle configurations, and this is one of them, where the dev says, hey, if you want this, you got to pay for it. It's a premium add-on for a mod. And if you're not familiar, big name companies tried to do this. Bethesda tried to do this with Skyrim and Fallout, and there were a couple of other. There was another company, and I can't think who, but anyway, they tried to do this on the commercial grand scale, where essentially you had to pay in order to get certain mods, and there was such a huge backlash, especially because modding had already been established for, especially like Skyrim. I mean, good gravy, the game's been out forever. But this is a modder who is asking people to pay for additional versions of the vehicle in BeamNG Drive. Now, generally speaking, that's, as far as I know, that's not been done before. I could be wrong. Feel free to correct me. I came into BeamNG a little later than a lot of folks. But it has really raised some tempers. It's really raised some questions. Is it right for a modder to ask to be paid for the work they're doing? I mean, this is their creative work. This is their time and effort and energy, and should they be allowed to ask for money? And I'm kind of torn on the subject. I mean, I can totally see why people would be ticked off about it. I can also totally see why a modder might seek compensation for a particular mod. To me, to be honest, I think what the main problem is that this modder was just upfront and honest about it. And I know that sounds completely insane, but because in the description, the modder says, hey, for $2 American, I think that's roughly what it comes out to, you can have these extra vehicles that come with my mod pack that I created. I think, frankly, if he had just said, hey, support me on Patreon, or whatever, paywall type situation, and say, hey, if you support me on Patreon, then supporters get access to bonus mods, bonus content, I don't think there would be any issue raised at all. I think people would be like, oh, that's cool. If I want to pay, whatever it is, $1, $2, $5 a month, then that's cool. Hey, I'll get some bonus content. And if I like what I see before subscribing or offering my patronage, then, okay, maybe I'll jump in and I'll go check it out. Instead, the modder was upfront about it and is getting absolutely crucified for it. That is such an interesting social dynamic. Had the modder just hid it behind a paywall and somebody, hopped on and paid, paid the Patreon price, and what they got was a couple of bonus configurations for some of the vehicles that they had offered for free, would there be the same backlash? I don't know. To me, that is ultimately the question. I mean, I think of some of the mods that have been released on BeamNG and think back to some of the modders who could have very easily done something similar. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, some of the modders, they do outright say, hey, if you support me on sites like Patreon, you get bonus content. How is that any different than just flat out saying, hey, for $2, you get bonus content? You don't even have to subscribe to Patreon. It's a one-time thing. It's not a monthly thing. You just get it. I don't know. I would love to know what some of your thoughts are, not just with BeamNG, but how about let's expand this. If you're watching and you're not necessarily a BeamNG person and you've made it this far into the video, first of all, thank you so much. But second of all, think of other content. So for example, let's just say Skyrim, right? There are thousands of mods available for Skyrim. So what if one of, or several of, the folks who create mods said, hey, if you support me on Patreon, I'll give you some extra mods that I had been working on that I'm not necessarily releasing to the public? Would that offend you? Would you be okay with that? Would you be looking forward to that? I don't know. Let me know what you think about that kind of stuff. And again, whatever game, pick your favorite game and mods that go with it. I don't care if it's City Skylines. I don't care if it's whatever. I don't know, man. I'm at a loss here because I'm fumbling for words. But anyhow, you get the idea. You get where I'm going with this. Where do I sit on it? I truly believe that his approach is way more honest and upfront about what you get for the money versus just saying, hey, support me on Patreon and every now and then I'll throw a bone your direction. You know what I mean? I don't know. But by the same token, I can totally see why people are upset, mainly because it's not really been done that way before. And honestly, I think that's what most people are upset more than anything. Nobody's ever, frankly, had the cojones to jump out and just say, hey, this is how it is, you know, like it, lump it, there it is. Now, I have not visited the site recently to know if he has changed his release of these particular add-on pieces or not. So all of the discussion and backlash may have, you know, forced a change in that type of thinking. But I don't know. What do you think about modders who offer additional mod content behind some kind of a paywall? What do you think of modders who just outright say, hey, if you want additional pieces that go with this, it's going to cost you X amount of money? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear it. Any other questions, problems, suggestions, horror stories, feel free to leave those down in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching, for checking this out. And thank you so much to Hero of God, GamerGull, and Mr. Spooky7 for supporting me on Patreon. And again, thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you next time here in BeamNG Drive. Have a great day.